foundations for prophecy. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here am I, send me. The throne of Elohim is the control center of the universe. The cherubim are the beings closest to him. They command the legions of angels. Since sin entered the world, cherubim have played an important role in Elohim's relationship with humanity. Thanks to prophecy, the veil that allows us to see the invisible and inaccessible world is lifted. We can see these cherubs standing beside the throne, acting under Elohim's command to help us. Elohim and the cherubim, messengers of fire. What do cherubim do? A reflection of Elohim's glory. The cherubim and humanity, lion, man, ox, and eagle, replacing the fallen. Elohim and the cherubim, messengers of fire. One of the flaming creatures flew over to me and with a burning coal that it had taken from the altar with a pair of metal tongs. Imagine being illuminated by a light so intense and special that all your thoughts and emotions were laid bare. That's what Isaiah experienced when he saw Elohim's throne. His reaction, Who is me, for I am undone. Then a fiery being, in Hebrew, seraph, stopped singing the holiness of Elohim, takes a burning coal from the altar, and assures Isaiah that his sin is forgiven. Of course, the cherub didn't forgive Isaiah's sin. He simply conveyed Elohim's message, for that is the function of the cherub. And from then on, it was also the role of Isaiah. It is interesting that Yeshua said of John the Baptist, another messenger of Elohim, he was the burning and shining lamp. What do cherubim do? So he drove off the man, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, the flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. The Bible first introduces us to the cherubim immediately after Adam and Eve sinned. What work did Elohim give them? They were to guard the way to the tree of life, that is, to prevent humans from entering the Garden of Eden. However, their presence was not intimidating. They made the gate of Eden a miniature representation of the divine throne from which grace emanates. The word translated place, Shakan, is used to indicate that Elohim dwells in the sanctuary. From this comes the word Shekinah, which designates the glory of Elohim manifested in the ark between the cherubim, which represented Elohim's throne. And what do they do at the throne? They worship and carry out Elohim's direct orders on behalf of those who will inherit salvation. A reflection of the glory of Elohim. Before the throne, there was a sea of glass, like crystal, and in the midst of the throne and around the throne were four living creatures, full of eyes in front and in back. The descriptions of the cherubim surrounding the throne of Elohim, recorded by Isaiah, Ezekiel, and John, have great similarities. Isaiah 6:1-4. Beings of fire, seraphim, 6 wings. They praise holy, holy, holy. They fill the temple with smoke. Ezekiel 1:5-14. Fire torches, 4 wings. 4 faces, man, lion, ox, and eagle. They shine. Revelation 4:6-8. Living beings, 6 wings. They praise holy, holy, holy. Like a lion, a calf, a man, and an eagle. Full of eyes. The cherubim shine and glow. The eyes are symbols of brilliance, reflecting Elohim's glory. All of Elohim's creatures were designed to reflect His glory. Both human beings made in His image and the angelic beings who sit beside His glorious throne. The cherubim and humanity. Lion, calf, man, and eagle. The first living creature was like a lion. The second living creature like a calf. The third living creature had a face like a man, and the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. The description of the cherubim matches the standards of the four main tribes that come on each side of the sanctuary: Judah, Issachar, Zebulun; Reuben, Simon, and Gad; Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin; Dan, Asher, Naphtali. The New Jerusalem is described with the same layout: 12 gates, 3 on each of its 4 sides. Elohim wants to surround himself with his people, just as he is surrounded by the cherubim. Elohim wants us to dwell with him. This will only become a reality when Yeshua takes us with him at his second coming. But we don't have to wait until that moment to feed at the throne of Elohim. Replacing the fallen. Then I looked, and behold, a Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written on their foreheads. Unfortunately, not all cherubim have performed their duties properly. There was one who, filled with glory and splendor, thought that all that glory came from himself rather than from Elohim. Lucifer and his angels were on the mountain of Elohim, but they were expelled from it. Their place will be taken by those who remain faithful to the Lamb. At this wonderful miracle, the heavenly beings sing in unison: "You are worthy, Yeshua, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased for Elohim persons from every tribe and language and people and nation. You have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our Elohim, and they will reign on the earth." All these heavenly beings have one object above all others, in which they are intensely interested. This church in a world of corruption, they are working for Christ, for Messiah, under his commission, to save to the uttermost all who look to him and believe in him. These heavenly intelligences are speeding on their mission. They are united in a holy alliance, in a grand and sublime unity of purpose, to show forth the power and compassion and love and glory of the crucified and risen Savior. In their service, these armies of heaven illustrate that what the church of Elohim should be. Messiah is working in their behalf in the heavenly courts, sending out his messengers to all parts of the globe to the assistance of every suffering one who looks to him for relief, for spiritual life and knowledge.